Welcome to The Explainer. So if you've ever dreamt of standing up in a courtroom, defending justice, or maybe just untangling some really complex legal webs, well, you are definitely in the right place. Today, we're diving straight into the definitive step-by-step roadmap to building a successful legal career in India. We're going to take you all the way from your high school desk to running your very own legal practice.
Look, we've got to start by busting a huge myth right out of the gate. Pop culture makes it look like being a lawyer is all about yelling objection like you're in an episode of Suits or Jolly LLB, right? Just delivering these highly dramatic monologues while wearing a flowing black coat. But the reality? Well, it involves significantly less dramatic pacing and a whole lot more reading. It's actually this incredibly fascinating grind of intense education, strict discipline, and continuous lifelong learning.
Here is our roadmap for today. First, education and entrance exams. Second, surviving law school. Third, becoming an official advocate. And finally, building your legal career.
All right, looking at the big picture, you've got 3 macro milestones on the journey ahead. First, there's completing your Class 12 foundation. Second, dedicating 3 to 5 years to the intense law school grind. And finally, you hit the post-graduation gauntlet of bar exams and real-world practice. Let's break these down one by one.
Step 1. Education and entrance exams.
So everything literally starts in Class 12. And people always ask, hey, do I need to study a specific subject to go into law? The answer is an absolute no. Your high school stream, whether that's arts, commerce, or science, doesn't actually matter at all. Honestly, science students often make brilliant patent lawyers. What really matters is that you focus relentlessly on the underlying skills. English communication, voracious reading habits, and razor-sharp critical thinking are your actual tools of the trade here. Because if you can't read fast and think critically, the law will just eat you alive.
Now, when it comes to getting the actual degree, you hit a pretty clear fork in the road. Option 1 is the fast track right after high school. This is a 5-year integrated course, like a BA LLB or a BBA LLB. Option 2, on the other hand, is for folks who decide on law a little bit later. Say you already have a bachelor's degree in commerce or arts, you can easily pivot to law by jumping into a 3-year LLB program. Both of these paths lead to the exact same destination, so it's really just about what works best for you.
But to get into these programs, especially the top-tier ones, you're going to have to conquer some highly competitive exams like CLAT, ALAT, SLAT, or the LSAT India. And listen, these exams aren't just testing rote memory. They are literally stress testing how your brain works under pressure. You need to master legal and logical reasoning, current affairs, and, even quantitative aptitude. Serious preparation here is absolutely crucial.
Which brings us to Phase 2, surviving law school. Let me be real with you. Law school is heavy. You are going to immerse yourself in massive, complex subjects like constitutional law, criminal, civil, and corporate law. You can basically say goodbye to light reading because your new daily habit is dissecting hundreds of pages of real-world court judgments. You have to stay constantly updated on how the law is interpreted today. That means reading cases that are decades old alongside ones that were decided just yesterday.
But here's the thing, textbooks just aren't going to cut it. To be a successful lawyer, you have to actively develop these gritty, real-world skills. Public speaking, crisp legal writing, negotiation, client communication, these are totally non-negotiable. You really need to master courtroom etiquette and practice speaking confidently every single day. Because think about it, if you can't articulate your arguments clearly, all the book knowledge in the world isn't going to win your case.
So how do you actually build those skills? Well, you've got to step into the arena. You need to build a bulletproof resume by interning with senior advocates, working at law firms, or spending time in the high courts. You absolutely must battle it out in moot court competitions, which, by the way, are essentially flight simulators for future lawyers. Participate in judgment writing, volunteer at legal aid camps. This practical exposure, that's the mortar holding all your academic bricks together.
Moving right along to Step 3, becoming an official advocate.
Okay, so you've got the degree, but hold on, you can't actually represent clients just yet. There is a very rigid, mandatory 3-step procedure to transition from being a law graduate to a practicing advocate. Step 1, you have to register and enroll with your local state bar council. Step 2, clear the All India Bar examination. And Step 3, finally, receive your official certificate of practice.
Let's zoom in on that middle step for a second. The AIBE. You cannot skip this exam. No way around it. It's a mandatory qualifying hurdle you take right after your state enrollment.
Passing the AIBE is the specific legal mechanism that officially empowers you to stand in a courtroom, put on that black coat, and defend justice. It is literally the exact moment you transform into a real-deal advocate.
And finally, Part 4, building your legal career.
When you're fresh out of the gate, experience is your absolute biggest asset. Most new advocates begin by grinding it out under a senior advocate. Why? Because you're learning what the textbooks didn't teach you, the unwritten rules of the courtroom and how to actually interact with a judge. Other folks might join corporate legal departments. Usually, independent practice comes a bit later, once you've really built up the confidence, a solid network, and a bit of capital.
As you start getting some wins under your belt, the legal field opens up drastically. You aren't boxed into just one path at all. You could aim to be a public prosecutor, a high-flying corporate lawyer, or even eventually a judge. And as your career grows, you definitely don't have to be a generalist. You can carve out highly lucrative or deeply impactful specializations, everything from cyber law and tax law to environmental law and arbitration. The options are amazing.
Now, no matter which path or niche specialization you choose, there is one universal law you absolutely have to follow, the golden rule: continue learning. The law is a living, breathing thing. It changes constantly. New laws get passed, new precedents are set every day. You have to commit to lifelong learning by reading daily, attending seminars, or even pursuing an LLM. Combine that kind of dedication with unshakable integrity, and you are for sure going to thrive.
The journey to becoming a lawyer in India takes serious dedication, unshakable discipline, and just pure persistence. But the reward is a truly powerful, respected career. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this final thought. Now that you've got the complete roadmap and you know exactly what the path ahead looks like, what are you going to do with the power of the law? How will you make your own meaningful impact through the justice system?